Live stream. Good morning and welcome. Welcome to my live stream, Fight CPS, with your host, Bob Pace. And hang on to your children. It's so important that we hang on and keep fighting CPS. Many of you, including myself, have been fighting CPS for a long time. Some of you may be new, some of you may just started out. And I want to thank you for taking the time to find me. You found me on Facebook, Fight CPS with Bob Pace. I have another live stream I do in the evening. This is my morning live stream. And that live stream is called Fight CPS and Stop Taking Our Children. Now, this is an interactive live stream. What that means is that you can participate, ask questions, call in, be a guest on my live stream, do emojis, anything I can do to help you. I'm not an attorney. I'm a loving man that has 42 years of marriage and has helped raise 6 children. And what happened to me was really uncalled for. I was going through a midlife crisis, you want to call it, at age 60 when I found out that I could no longer keep my job. After working for 45 years and saving up for my forever home, a beautiful home that my wife and I had, and we were raising our 3 young children in that home. At the time that CPS got involved, my children were the ages of 4, 8, and 14, and they were going to school. And unbeknownst to me is that my in-laws, who are my wife's parents, mothers and fathers, or 3 sisters and brothers from Ohio, were telling once a week that we were doing something wrong with our children. We weren't feeding them, we weren't clothing them, we weren't giving baths, we weren't taking them to school, and things of that nature. So once a week, I get a call from a CPS worker that would come out and ask me, questions. I let them in my home. I didn't have to. I didn't know at the time, but I let them in my home and they could see everything was fine. They sat with me in the living room, on the couch in the living room. And this went on year after year. And it got to the point after 5 years, they kept getting these calls. So they planned something that was unbeknownst to me. This is where I found that the Orange County Social Services, the Child Protection Service, which is a branch of social services, is corrupt. They're rogue. Many of you will find that. Now, I'm not on this live stream to tell you that all CPS is bad. I'm not in the live stream to say social services all is bad. But I find out that the education lacking in the Orange County and the experience of the social workers was very poor. I'd give that social service agency an F. They failed from the director all the way down to the social worker. They were corrupt. They were corrupt. And that's the same problem that many of you are experiencing. So what I've learned over these last 15 years of fighting CPS are 5 rules that you can follow that will help you keep your children, that will help you not have your children taken. There are things like your civil rights and your constitutional rights that you need to know about. You need to educate yourself. Fighting CPS is a life skill that you should have gotten when you're in elementary school. Now, life skills are things that is one thing they lack in schooling. I think education should consist of 3 things. 1 are the academics. 2 is the physical conditioning or exercising of children. And 3 are your life skills. Now, what I mean by life skills, they can range from bullying at school, from, talking to strangers, from answering the phone, answering the door, to dating, to sexual education, to drugs and alcohol, to marriage and divorce, to taxes, your state tax and your federal taxes and how to do that. Even things like buying a TV or buying things. There's simple things that are life skills. And if every year of your life you're in education, whether you're at preschool, pre-K, kindergarten, or grades 1 through 5 at elementary school, or grades 6 through 8 at middle school, or grades 9th through 12th at high school, or even in your college year, your first 5 years, your teaching credentials, all your credentialing, your masters and doctors. Anytime you're in school, an hour should be devoted to something about life skills. Things like sewing, things like cooking. There's so many things that you may not get at home. Your parents are supposed to teach you a lot, but they may lack some things. So these life skills are important. But the most important life skill that I wish I had gotten was the child protection system, how to deal with an agency that comes on to you, and you know it's ridiculous. Social service and the child protection system have been very difficult agencies, even including the IRS, the Internal Revenue Service, and in my state, in California, State Franchise Board. There are government entities, and it was come so bad with the government entities is right now Trump, the new president, has created an organization called DOGE, the Department of Government Efficiency. This agency has a website and phone numbers. Real quickly, I'd like to put it up there so you see it. I'll show it several times, so I want to show you what I'm talking about. But this is the last resort that you could go if you not get any help from your local CPS or your social service agency or your ombudsperson or your civil rights coordinator or your CASA. These are people that you're going to encounter. You can't trust the ombudsperson or the CASA because they're listening ears for the child protection system. I call CPS the child protection system. And this is the welfare program of our children. Children have been talked about for a long time. All of us should recognize that children once were thought as a commodity, meaning that they were put into labor at an early age and always used. Today, our society is such that a child doesn't have to work or even do chores. They should do chores. And that's a mistake on my part, is that when you don't have children doing chores or helping out at home, they get lazy and lax daily. The problem being is that children should enjoy life growing up, but they should also participate in household chores and maybe do a job to help out the family. Maybe do a job and help contribute. Now, I have loving children, and they're different ages and different groups and different time frames. What was good for me in the 1960s is not good today in the year 2025. Excuse me 1 second. I need that light for a backdrop. I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm communicating from home, and if I don't put that light on the back, you can't see me very well. So I'm telling you that this is a very difficult subject to draw on, and maybe I'm talking too much because this show, I said, is about you and your help. I'm trying to leave an intro into you and tell you that there are ways you can solve your problem. I'm a problem-solving individual, and I can have an analytical mind. I'm trained professionally as a marine biologist, a scientist. I'm also trained as a civil engineer, building roads and highways and site facilities and so forth, a builder, an engineer. And I've worked in a lot of other jobs, such as an animal trainer of killer whales and pilot whales and dolphins, etc., even penguins and parrots. So I know how to train. I've also ran restaurants. I once ran a Chart House restaurant in Virginia Beach, Virginia. And so I know how to manage, and I know about the arts of cooking and so forth. I've had a lot of interesting jobs through my life. And I started working at a pet shop because I wanted pets. My mom and dad couldn't afford the pet shop, so I got that job. And in the summer months, I worked as an ocean lifeguard for LA County long before it was legal. I worked under the age of 18 for LA County. And then I went to the East Coast and worked for a while at a military post at several pools I was manager of. And then I worked in Virginia Beach, Virginia as an ocean lifeguard. And I started getting involved into surfing contests and organized and ran surfing contests. I've been administrator. I've traveled the world. I've been to a lot of countries, probably over 50 countries. I've lived in a half a dozen of them. I'm just as familiar with the Margaret River in Western Australia as the Long Island, New York. Again, it relates to surfing. Or down at Sebastian Inlet down in Florida, or surfing the Great Lakes, or the Snake River in Colorado, or the tidal bore in Wales, or Cape St. Francis in South Africa, or Durban, or Jeffreys Bay. There's lots of places that I've been to. Kuta Beach in Indonesia. I lived for a while in Guam, an island out in the Pacific, and that's where I really learned and practiced my surfing skills. So surfing has been a part of my life. But unfortunately, at age 60, this mixed with CPS became awful. It was really, really awful. And I'm here to help you solve your problems. A week ago, I had a family come onto my show that was devastated because they're being accused of negligence with medical. There's a medical negligence. There's a thing called medical trafficking. We've all heard about trafficking, it's illegal, but the child protection system can take your child. Well, they think they can because they know that parents don't know the laws. They take advantage of parents. They recruit police to enforce their laws, which is wrong. Police are supposed to protect and serve. They make arrests for violations of the law, traffic violations, serious crimes, they do apprehend. But the way that social worker uses police is terrible. First of all, they're very intimidating. When you see a policeman, they're decked out in their other calls there. Hold on 1 minute, please. Hold on 1 minute, please. Sorry for the interruption. Um, that was a call from social services. Yes, I still get help from social services. My son, my family, my three children were in foster care. It was terrible. It was terrible. It is so terrible. It's unbelievable. And, at one time, I was very happy in 2010 where I had the income and a beautiful home, a forever home. But since then, I've been in financial ruins and I'm struggling to keep alive here. I'm struggling to keep my marriage together and take care of my children. My thing is, I'm about taking care of families. And you guys are my family. A lot of you call me uncle. And I'm glad you guys come in and talk to me. And I want to help you. And I need to take off that Doge thing because that's the last resort. Those phone numbers do work. It's to the White House. I'll put it up again. But I want to tell you some things that are important to you, that if you want to text me a message, write to me. I love to have comments or a question. A comment or a question that should pertain to CPS. A lot of you are going through all kinds of issues. Some of you are very fried. I have Felicia, who is called Cruel on YouTube, and she is from Oxnard in Ventura County. She's fighting the CPS. And her brother's trying to take away her home. And her mother's missing. And her two babies are missing. And she is so down because she doesn't have the income. And that is the sad thing, is that when families turn against one another, it's really sad. And that's what happened in my case. I had no idea. I did not find out that my in-laws were the ones purported to it. And I did not know that the child protection system, the child protection service in Orange County, was corrupt. They're rogue. I went to the director. I've gone to every possible way I've gone, and I was getting nowhere. Now, when you do text me a comment or a question, please give me your first name. So many of you have interesting names on YouTube or Facebook, but they're hard for me to pronounce or hard to understand. So name like John or Betsy or Mary or wherever, that'd be great. Make up one. I don't care if it's your real first name. Then your city or county. If you're worried about somebody knowing you in your city, say the county, okay? And your state. I do this so I get a cross-representative, all 50 states. I have had somebody call in. I mean, I've had 1,757 people text in or call in. And all 50 states have been represented, including Washington, D.C., which is not a state. And it used to be called the District of Columbia. Now it's called Washington, D.C. It's where our federal government is. And they get exempted treatment on certain things. So it's almost like a state, but it's not a state. And then I say country. The reason why I say country is this live stream is everywhere. Everybody that has the internet in the world, and either connected to satellite or to the towers or whatever the case may be, the phone lines or whatever, they can hear or see or talk to me. Now, the countries that so far participated have been Indonesia, Bangladesh, India. Those are very third world countries struggling for money. Then we go to the Middle East and we got somebody from Saudi Arabia. Now, Saudi Arabia is a really wealthy nation, but they had troubles there in their CPS. Then Libya, who definitely is new, and they definitely have all kinds of issues with their children. Their children are being murdered. It is sad with the children in our world. Then we go over to Africa. I've had Liberia, and then I had Sudan, and then the newest country has been Republic of Congo. And they're going through definitely civil rights, civil strife, not rights, but civil strife. And then from there to Rwanda, and then down to Mozambique, and then to the country of South Africa, which I've been to South Africa many times, at least 25 times. I've been to South Africa, mostly the Western Cape province, Durban, those kinds of places in there. So I've had that experience. And there's a sweet lady there named Lika, Lika. She's from that part of South Africa. And she's had a devastating, she's actually called, and her nickel, her dime, or actually it's called a RAND, RAND. And her RAND, she would pay. And she talked for an hour. And she's called in several times. I haven't heard from her lately, but I worry about her. That's a wild country. There's still crocodiles that eat children. I don't know if you think about that where you live, but a social worker was out with the children, turned their back to a lake, and in one full sweep, a crocodile came in and snagged a child and dragged him underwater. Now, the social worker was very stupid. That's the problem. These social workers probably mean well, but without proper education and proper training, they can't do the work as a social worker. Now, I'm talking about the child protection system. Now we go from South Africa up to Europe. We have England, Scotland, and Wales, also Denmark and Sweden. And you think that Denmark and Sweden, why would they have any problem? They have such an open society and they're very well to do, but they do have problems with their children. And England has a bad case of child abuse and child neglect, and also parent abuse. Now, what I call parent abuse is when a rogue CPS worker talks rudely to the parent, berates the parent, puts the parent down, and assumes everything. You should never assume. And I have a saying, don't judge somebody until you walk in their moccasins. It's an old Indian saying. Until you've walked miles in their moccasin, you don't know what that person is experiencing. You don't know what I've experienced or what I'm doing. And I don't know what you're experiencing or what you're doing. But I do know one thing. You guys have been very pleasant to me and very supportive and been here trying to get help. And I'm here. I'm here to help you. Now we go across the pond to North America and to Canada, and then to all United States, then down to Mexico, south of the border, and then to a country Grenada has called in. They're on the east side of South America, north of Brazil. Then we go across the South Pacific to New Zealand, and then the land down under Australia. And I've been to Australia and New Zealand. They're beautiful places. They're all beautiful places. So, with that being said, I've talked about how to text a message to me. Now, it's very important for the first time you text a message, you tell me about your case so I can understand you. Start at the beginning when you have a knock at the door or a phone call or a letter from CPS. And then take me to where you're at the moment. Now, that may take you 15 minutes or so, but it's important. And it also helps you to write things down because there'll be kind of a memo there. Now, another way to interact in this live stream is to be a guest. And to be a guest, all you have to do is email our producer. Her name is Grace. And her email is grace@vincentwdavis.com. And pick one of my shows. I have 14 shows. I'm on every night at 7 p.m. and on every morning, Monday through Friday at 10, and the weekends at 8. So that's 14 live streams I'm on. They're 1 hour long. It's all Pacific Standard Time because I'm broadcasting from the west coast of Southern California. And I live about 3 blocks from the beach. I live in a place called Surf City, USA. It's a beautiful place. I love it here. Beautiful people. I've done a lot of work for the city. I've organized many a surfing contest, and it is really good. Unfortunately, I have a hiccup in my life that I have to deal with every day. So be a guest. Now, if you don't want to type anything or message me anything or be a guest, you can call in real easy. Here's my phone number, 626-698-0990. Now, I can be reached at that number. Um, and I am live during the show. I'll take the calls. Now, during the time from 8 to 10 and from 11 to 1, I do calls to get clients from Mr. Davis. I have people that have called in or people from my shows or something that want to hire him. So what I do is I go over the case with them. I try to understand it and help them answer any questions. Now, his picture is in the upper right-hand corner. He's the one that provided this live stream. And his number is posted there. That's the office number, 888-888-6582. When you reach that office number, you will be talking to reception. Tell them that Bob Pace sent you so they know who you are. And after you do that, you can ask any questions you want, like, I want to speak to Mr. Davis. I want a consultation with Mr. Davis. I want Mr. Davis to help defend me. And they will connect him if he's available. And if you talk to Mr. Davis, make sure you tell him that you talked to Bob Pace and he sent you. He wants to know that I'm reaching out to you. And he has many of the clients on my show every day. He has many of the clients on every day. He is a very kind and educated person. He has 39 years of fighting with CPS and getting thousands of children back. He's also a trial attorney. And he's trained and licensed professionally in the areas of juvenile law, family law, and dependency law. Now, a lot of the cases, the courtrooms are called dependency courtrooms. Some are called family law courtrooms. It all varies from state to state. But anytime that you have children involved under the age of 18 and separations from families or bringing them back to families through reunification, those are the courts. And you need someone who's trained in those areas. A criminal attorney or an immigration attorney or a real estate attorney won't help you. And the sad part is they have it so that if you need an attorney and you can't afford one, the court will appoint you one. The problem being is that the court-appointed attorneys or public defenders in the child protection systems are bad. Why they're bad? Because all of them are not trained in the areas that they should be. They're trained in criminal law, they're brand new attorneys, and they're so sad with CPS with 100 cases, they don't have time for your case. They won't meet you outside or anything like that. Plus CPS is paying for it. Someone's paying for it. And whoever's paying for it has controls of those attorneys. That's why it's important that you hire a fully qualified attorney, because you can fire that attorney or tell them what to do or not to do. Now, you can try to tell the court-appointed attorneys or public defenders, you need to fight my case or I'll sue you for negligence, or I'll contact the Capitol and report you to the state bar for lawyers and file a complaint, and you could lose your license. So they need to shape up. Now, I tried a court-appointed attorney, it did not work. I had to hire Mr. Davis. In order to do so, I had to sell my house, my forever home. And that was a hard thing to swallow. I hung on to the home as long as I could to April of 2017. Now, I got my children when they were taken in 2015. I got them back in December of 2017. So they came back. to an apartment that I provided, not the home. When they were taken from the home, they never saw the home again. They did not see the home from 2015, 16, or 17. That's 3 years they did not see that home again. And they had grown since they were taken. Now they were 4, 8, and 15, 14. And then in 2015, the youngest was 9. And the oldest was 14, and the daughter, I'm having trouble now with my math in my head, 12. Anyway, these 3 individuals in 2017 in December were returned, but they never got to see their home again. All their personal belongings were loaded up by me. I physically boxed everything in that home, including the thing that got me in trouble. And the thing that they alleged that got me in trouble was my parents' belongings. My parents were dying, and my dad had died, and my mom could not handle all the personal belongings of 55 years of marriage. So I volunteered, even though the problems they're going through, to collect all their belongings into a U-Haul truck. My daughter was the only one that helped me load, and some of those things were physically heavy for me. Again, I was, at that time, I was 68, lifting. I had hired a bunch of movers and a moving truck. That was my own personal belongings. But my parents, I had hired a U-Haul truck and got all my parents' belongings in the U-Haul truck, the biggest ones that they make in U-Haul. It was hard. But because I took the things to my home, because I should have put them in storage, I put them in the living room, the same living room that the social workers would sit in. And these boxes and furniture was piled maybe chest high, a little under my children's heads, but it was safe. And that was only one room of the house. There was a formal dining room that we could eat at with 8 people. There was a big kitchen with a center sink and a food prep area. There was microwaves, ovens, refrigerators, even a trash compactor, and a breakfast nook, places where they could eat lunches, even a dinner if it's a short dinner or something there. So the home was something else. And I'm so glad to see Christina Reynosa again. I have been so worried about you last night. Anyway, sure, Christina, I would love that. I love any help. Anyway, I've been talking about me, and I want to talk about one of you all. One of you all. My phone number is up there. I'd love to take calls. Christina Reynosa is from Las Vegas, Nevada. She spent quite a deal on a project she was working on, was her heritage. She has an interesting heritage where she has family members from Apache, Aztec, and even related to Christopher Columbus, so Spanish background. And the migration of people is a very interesting thing because migration of people happen all the time. And our Native American Indians were the first immigrants to what we call the United States, North America. The Indians, and they got that term from Christopher Columbus because he called all the indigenous people in the Caribbean. He discovered the Caribbean, did not discover North America. The Indians did, and then came the Vikings, and then the rest of the Europeans. There's different stages. There's people been living here, what we call Homo sapiens, for 300,000 years. And these Native American Indians came across the land bridge up in Alaska and came down. And in Canada, they're called the First Nation. The indigenous Indians in Canada called the First Nation. We call our Indians the Native Americans. Now, they have rights too. There's a law called the ICWA, the Indian Child Welfare Act of 1978. It took them from 1875 to 1978 to have the children be returned to the family. That's over 100 years that they've been corrupt. I'm not saying CPS because it wasn't called CPS back then. In 1875, there was a society. It was for the homeless children in New York. And it was a rich society that would try to set up orphanages. You know where Annie came from. Annie is about the orphanages in New York. Our children have been abused and used for a long time. But today, it's our parents that are abused and our families are broken apart. So, this Child Protection Agency, everybody should be fighting it. This ICWA law, why does it take Congress 100 years? Because, see, at that time in the 1870s or 60s or 80s or 90s, the Indians were being annihilated. They were frozen to death in harsh snows. They were starved to death by food that was promised that wasn't there or spoiled. They were put on reservations in Oklahoma that can't grow anything. They were taken from their native lands and told to go there and become a farmer. Now you're asking a war chief, that's all his life he's provided for his family. He provides food and protection. The women did all the gathering of the food and the cooking and raising the children. That's how the society worked. But no one understood it. President Ulysses Grant tried to, but he was misled by very unscrupulous people. A lot of people don't realize that the only battle the Indians won was the Battle of Little Bighorn, when Crazy Horse defeated Armstrong Custer, who had a history of killing innocent Indians. They would come into a camp with their big guns, their Gatling guns, and kill women and children running and flee. So what happened to these Indian children in 1875? They're rounded up, put into private schools, and never saw their families again. It took 100 years to say, okay, if a child has problems at home or a parent is neglecting or abusing them, the Indian tribe will take care of them because it's for Indian children. So CPS must turn them over if they're proven to be Indian children. The problem is not all the tribes are recognized. There's only 548 federal tribes recognized. There are a lot more. In fact, Christina was telling me about Geronimo's band of Indians isn't recognized, which is wrong, There's so much history of child abuse and child neglect, and today it's rampant. I'm sorry to say that it's gotten out of hand. And I was talking earlier on the show about a family from Santa Clarita. Jessica and Pyron were two loving parents that had a 4-year-old that had stomach pains. They're not doctors, but they took him to their pediatrician. The pediatrician, I guess, did not know or understand appendicitis. But if anybody has appendix and problems with appendix, it's a pain on the right side of the groin area, not the left side. And the pain that she had was on the left side. But the doctor said she should go to the hospital. So they go to a high rate hospital. But I don't know, because their medical plan or whatever it is, the hospital is not thoroughly educated. That's the problem with medical plans. All of us have income. Some have a lot of income. At one time I did. But now, I hate to say it, I'm barely climbing on my quicksand. If you picture a cone of sand and a man stuck in it, that's me with my fingers trying to climb out. And that's what CPS took advantage of me. When I lost my job, I lost my means to pay my mortgage. I lost my means to take my children to Disneyland. I had season passes for them. I used to take them out for dinner, to movies and stuff. I lost all that because I had to do what's called living on your means. If your income's cut off at age 60, that's a terrible experience to have. I had money put away for a rainy day. I was able to survive in my home for 7 years without any income. But when you're paying mortgage payments and your cost of mortgage alone was $5,000, including property tax, I had to pay a lot in property tax, like $12,000 a year. And then I had a first and second mortgage. But my family wasn't too excited about being a Spartan lifestyle, especially my daughter. And then when CPS, through the advent of my in-laws, started calling in and CPS started getting involved in my life, they took advantage of me. All of you have something in common. All of you have something in common. All of you have something in common. It's called money. And there's nothing a crime about being low income. But right now, it's so hard out there to buy food. When a carton of eggs still costs $10 a carton, a gallon of milk is $7 a gallon. Bananas now are 80 cents a pound. Lettuce is $2 a bushel. Cabbage is now $1.50 a pound. Tomatoes are $1.50 a pound. Grapes are $7 a pound. Cereal is $3 a box of cereal, and it won't last you a week for one person because the boxes are made small. You see, when they raised the prices, they made the boxes smaller. People don't realize it. Like when you go to fast food places, the meals have gotten smaller, but the prices have gone up. You cannot get a drink, fries, and a sandwich at McDonald's for under $10. Maybe on a special. I agree, Christina. Census records are inaccurate. That's another thing. We have so much of false news and false inaccuracies out there. We don't know what to believe. Now, Christina says in 1875, her grandma was born, she owned land on gold. But the problem being, I don't know if your grandma was an Apache or what, but the problem is with records of indigenous people that don't have written records. Yes, on cave dwelling people, they drew pictures. Egyptians had records, but not the kind of records you need today. Not the records I can need today. I can't locate my great-great-grandmother. She was married into my family. She married my great-great-grandfather. My grandfather traced to Bergen, Norway. He's a Viking. And my grandmother's a Lakota Sioux, a full-blooded Lakota Sioux. I have 25% Indian blood in me. My grandfather has 50%, and his mother had 100% Lakota Sioux. So I'm quarter. I'm a third generation, part Indian. Did CPS help me? No. They did just the opposite. And yes, I have Viking blood and Lakota Sioux blood in me. Now, on my mom's side, she is Scottish. Queen Mary, Stewart of Scotland, is my many great grandmother from Edinburgh, Scotland. So I don't know. I'm a quarter Lakota Sioux, a quarter Viking, a quarter Irish, and then a quarter mixed whatever. But anyway, I am a well-rounded guy. But why I'm getting all this and the thing is the social service workers, and I'm not trying to them all are bad because I just spoke to someone who is very pleasant, but they're being investigated by Doge. Doge now has a second supervisor listening in and making sure that the benefits for low income are given to the right people. That's the whole purpose of Doge. Now, Elon Musk set out to try to save $1 trillion. He promised in 130 days. That's his job time. A lot of people don't realize he was only government appointed, and the max government appointment is 130 days, and that was end of May 31st. So he had to step down, but he can come back in 6 months. He can come back in 6 months. He needs to step down because his car business, Tesla, has taken a beating. His SpaceX rocket is crashing now, the one that takes off the reusable rocket. His satellite, he has a special satellite. He's a talented individual, a young man that has the wealthiest money around. But right now, CPS is being investigated. I know firsthand today, talking to a social worker. The social worker was pleasant. She repeated herself, and she was really, it was good. It was good to talk to someone that knew the English language, that took their time, and actually called me back. That was my interruption in the show. Because you're entitled to benefits. I just found out a benefit today on Social Security that you can get a benefit. And I'd like to share it with you all, but it's found out today. It says low income subsidy is available through Social Security. And the number is 800-772-1213. So if you need help with your medical premium, I tried to get Medi-Cal, but apparently when Social Security gave me more money, $100 more a month, even though my rent went up $80, they said I'm at the threshold where I can't get Medi-Cal without paying a $3,000 deductible. And I was covered. I got covered, California covered insurance. I'm with Blue Shield with my family, my 2 remaining family they're left in my home. And they're covered. I pay a monthly premium of $3.56 a month for 2 people. My premium for my medical, which is United Healthcare, is $187. And I got that premium, which is pretty high. I think it's almost $200. So you're paying $24,000 a year for medical insurance, which is pretty hefty. The one that I just got covered in California is cheaper. I'm thinking about somehow getting that. But I have a lot of life skills. I can help all of you. How to start my grievance? Well, my grievance is, why is social services or the child protection system allowed to be so corrupt? Why can we not fight them with a lawsuit that we don't have to pay a retainer? I have to come up with $50,000 if I want to fight them. That's what it costs to have Mr. Davis represent me in a civil matter. And so my grievance is tenfold. I don't know what you mean. Well, my case is well documented. There's no question about it. I have a stack approximately 4 feet high of CPS paperwork. I can't even put it in a notebook. I tell all of you, my rule number 2 is to get a notebook and put all your documentation in the notebook. What, 4 feet high, and I think the biggest notebook is 3 inches thick. So that's 2 for 6 inches. That's 4 times 4 feet. That's 16 notebooks that I'd have to put it in. Now, grievances are fine and dandy, but they're not going to get you money. They're not going to get you help. They maybe take care of your anger, your frustration by writing a grievance. But, the politicians are so bad. And I hate to say that. That's why I'm not registered. That's why I don't vote. And that's a shame, because you should. You should vote. But the politicians are all about money. The only way a politician will listen to you is if you give them donations. Trump is the first politician that I've met in my life, and I'm 75 years old, that says he wants to work for no salary and he owes his allegiance to nobody. Everybody thought he was a palsy-wowsy with Putin. He's just as hard Billy Bass on Putin. He's really hard on his workers. All his people he's appointed, even Elon Musk, he will disagree. He's one of the people out there that's not afraid to say something or do something. And things are changing, not happily, because a lot of people are about money. But a lawsuit is something that you can do. Now, I have a very perfect lawsuit with my CPS case. My social worker lied. She committed perjury. It's all recorded, it's caught, and everything. She doesn't have a degree in social work. She doesn't have a master's in social work. She doesn't have a degree as clinical psychiatrist. She, in fact, does not have a high school education. And she got the job with social services by just applying. Like, she just wanted a job. Did they train her? Orange County did not train. Now, I've met with the director, so I have a lot of documentation. Orange County Child Protection Service is very corrupt. And that's who DOJ should look into. But that's not the only one. Every one of you that comes to my room talks about a corrupt social worker. A corrupt social worker. But I need to stay focused on helping you all here. So if you have a question, call me. If you have a comment, text me. Or a question, you text me. Now, if you on my live stream as a guest or make a phone call, you get a free 15-minute private consultation with Mr. Davis. It does work. Things I do in this room do help. People come back to me in this room and said, because of you, I got my children back. Because of what you said, what you showed me. The things I show you are very basic. You don't have to go to law school. One, you need access to the internet and a computer or a phone. And you need to write the right kinds of questions to get the right answer. Google browser is one of the best. But you need to format it so that you list the city first, the state, and then the country, if you're outside of the country, and then the letter CPS. And you'll see all kinds of stuff come in. But if you want to find out a lawyer, then you say, after the letter CPS, you put in there a juvenile lawyer, family lawyer, and a dependency lawyer. And you'll see the names pop up. And then what you do is you call them, the ones you think are good. And you ask them two important questions. First question, are you a licensed juvenile law, family law, dependency law lawyer who has fought CPS and gotten back children? If the answer is yes, then you ask them the second question. Have you ever fought CPS after your case is over with a civil lawsuit filed in state or federal court and won money back from them? If the answer is yes, then there you go. You found a candidate. I didn't mean you found the attorney, but you found a candidate, because now you need to know their background. So you need 3 letters of references. 3 letters of references. Or not 3 letters, but you need 3 references so that you can call the references to see what kind of attorney it is. And lastly, you're going to meet with them because you have to establish the chemistry and go over the pricing. You may not be able to afford $5,000, $10,000, $20,000, $30,000, $50,000. You may not like the chemistry. Maybe you can get them for $2,500, but the chemistry is terrible. That means you guys can't talk without interrupting or whatever. What this live stream does for me, it lets me talk and talk and talk. And sometimes I think it's so much talkful. Yes, I'll send you something, Christina, if you want to help me. Um, you know, you send me an email exactly what you want. Now, I want to recognize Lenore Beatrice McDonald. Now, you have come into this room, and I'm not sure what part of the world you're from, um, but you had a 3-bedroom apartment and a full-time job when they are putting these children through this. They didn't even looked at the apartment. That is terrible. I don't know what city that is or where it is. I will, Christina. I will. Um, Lenore, I have no idea where you're from, but it sounds terrible that they didn't even look at the apartment. They did no investigation. Now I'm looking at my clock right now, and it's 56 of the hour. It means it's almost 11 o'clock, and I need to make my phone calls. But I do want to say that I do like helping you all. And that couple that told you about that had a false case of appendicitis, the social worker insisted that they get that appendix removed. It was unnecessary. People want to know, does appendix is an important organ? You can live without your appendix, but it does help you with your gut and bacteria and help you immune things. It helps you with your immune when you grow up. So appendix, every part of your body is important. Don't let anybody say you're given 2 lungs, you're given a heart. Now the 2 lungs are so that if one lung gets ruined, you can use the other lung. But you're given a liver. Those are all important organs. You need those. And you need an appendix. But anyway, this couple in a day had their child's appendix removed and still had the pain. Well, by the 3rd hospital they take the child to, after she's already been removed of, whatever they had to do to take out the appendix, they did an x-ray. The x-ray should have been done at the very beginning. But maybe the hospital, the medical plan didn't cover an x-ray, or the doctor didn't think it was necessary. There were gallstones on the left side from the gallbladder. They're blocking the duct. And they could see the little white stones in the x-rays because x-rays shows bones. If you're going to a hospital and you have pain in your body, make sure you do imaging, MRI, sonogram, and you do an x-ray because you can see things and it tells you so much. Yes, it's expensive to do an MRI. It's expensive to do an x-ray. It's probably not too expensive to do a sonogram. And they use sonogram primarily on seeing how a child is developing. But anyway, there's a lot of mistakes. There's a lawsuit pending right now, and CPS is on the back burner because I helped them get a lawyer. And the lawyer showed up. They got a 1-day continuance. I asked them to ask the judge. The judge gave them a 1-day continuance. And they brought in that attorney on Friday, and the judge's face dropped. And that's all from me encouraging this couple what to do. We analyze what appendix is. We need to have the medical reports from all 3 hospitals and the pediatrician because we need to show the social worker is not an MD. The social worker was corrupt, and that is in LA County, and it's at Monterey Park Courthouse. And that's through the Department of Children and Family Services, and they are corrupt, just like next door, the Orange County Services is. Now, these are firsthand examples. I'm not making up all these stories. I'm talking about 1,757,000 people have talked to me. Not 1,000, but 100 people. 1,000. Oh boy, I'll get this right. 1,857. 1,857 people. And these are cases from around the world. And anyway, the child's fine, by the way. The gallstones with medication can be dissolved and pass out. It's uncomfortable when they do pass out. And gallstones are formed in the gallbladder because they use bile. and sometimes it's hard with the process of digesting food. It's really interesting how much you can learn from the internet. I learned so much about appendicitis, about gallbladder, about surgeries, about medical trafficking, which is something that social workers are hiding out at the hospital and urgent care. Be careful. Do not talk to them. Do not disclose the information. If it's a legal matter, ask them, are you talking about a legal matter? If someone's talking about a legal matter, your next response is, I need to have my attorney present. When can we meet? I'll get my attorney. Now, if they have a strong case, they may pursue. But if they don't, they'll back off. These are the politics you got to play when you deal with CPS. You got to play their game back at them because they will. I'm going to close with a horrible thing I had to endure about my 12-year-old daughter in 2015. When that social worker committed perjury, my attorney was good to flush it out. But that social worker said, you're never going to see your daughter. You know what she did? She told my daughter to emancipate at age 12 from the parents. That means divorce your mom, your dad, your grandparents, aunts, uncles, cousins, even your siblings, your brothers and sisters. Change your name completely. Seal your original birth certificate that you're no longer born with me and my wife. Get a new Social Security card so you can double dip with Social Security. She double dipped. She kept her old Social Security card, and they were paying $1,000 out of retirement to the new foster parents that she adopted. She got a second card. She got another $1,000. That's $2,000. That was very corrupt, being paid to the foster parents. And I believe me, if Social Security knew about that, social services would be in a lot of trouble. Problem is, social services and CPS and Social Security are government agencies, and they try to help one another. So anyway, she's gone. She got adopted, a new birth certificate. She's 22, and she's been brainwashed to think her mom and dad are terrible. I encouraged her brothers to see her, but she doesn't see them all the time. Good idea, Christina. I won't take favors. As soon as I end the show, I'll email you before I make my phone calls. But I'm going to leave you with that thought. Do not talk to social workers. Do not trust social workers. Do not sign anything, and have a lawyer present. And if you have to use a court-appointed one, make them work. Make them work. So I want to say thank you for all your listening. I didn't really receive too many questions or try to help with that lady that has a 3-bedroom house. I don't know what part of the world you're from. She further, she was saying there too. I think I missed something else. Her great-great-daughter was literally stolen. I believe that. And abused the system. I believe that. I can't really help you out there. You're going to have to call me on the next show. Either be a guest on my show or call me. Area code 806. I don't know where that is. And right now, we don't do any pro bono work. If you let me talk to you, I can see what I can do. So call me at that number, 626-698-0990. But I do have to go because my time restraints are over. And again, thank you, Christina. And God bless all of you. Keep fighting for your child. Please listen to the ending message from my attorney, Vincent W. Davis. So come follow me when I step off. I'll see you tonight at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. God.
vivid picture is encrypted in your mind as the critics get in line like they're witnessing a crime. But then you notice there's a shiver in your spine from the feelings of discontentment and bitterness combined. Heartbroken when you listen to the judges, another kid's innocence corrupted, and if you go against then it's destructive. Consider this predicament the toughest, but we believe in a system fit for justice. Child Protective Services only pretends to save it. The one solution for this is worthy of instant praises. 30 years of experience with relentless cases. Allow me to introduce them. This is Vincent Davis, defending you when they don't think a mother fits the role. Is it juvenile dependency or government control? Observe the pain in their eyes. It's time for us to realize we are the
last ones left. Put your faith in this. We are the last ones left to save